Tears of the Kingdom is finally here with countless secrets and Easter eggs, but one of my favorites is this love letter to Breath of the Wild fans. A few years have passed since the first game, with the Temple of Time now located in the sky. Because of this, the original is abandoned, which is pretty sad considering we made a lot of memories here, like getting the paraglider. But what exactly happens if you go to this location in Tears of the Kingdom? Well, the devs left a chest that pays tribute to the paraglider with a fitting reward nostalgic fabric. A location affected even more is Gerudo Town because all the citizens are hiding in an underground shelter. As expected, you aren't allowed here because Link is male, but if you sneak in through the well, the area is unlocked. Although this doesn't mean you can do whatever you want though. If you try to go in here with no clothes, they'll kick you out. Totally fair, you gotta have some decency, but what if you're a sicko who really wants to get naked? Well, if you sneak in and then take your clothes off, you'll be permanently thrown in jail, and the best part, they won't let you out until you put them back on. And if you for some reason decide to walk around the entire map naked, the people you come across will actually notice. Pora will ask you where your clothes are, and other NPCs will comment things like, just wearing that today? But everyone has been talking about how you still can't pet the dog in Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, you definitely should be able to, but people are already finding ways to do it with machines.
There is definitely hand contact being made here. We have done it!
If you're not smart enough to do that, don't worry, because the dog actually has another use. If you drop him food, he'll eat it and grow closer to you, and if you do this enough times, he'll suddenly walk away. But whatever you do, make sure to follow him because he'll lead you straight to a rare chest that doesn't spawn unless the dog brings you. Another location you have to visit is Hyrule Castle. In Breath of the Wild, the throne room is where you fought Calamity Ganon, so most people will think it's off limits. Instead of coming here at the end of the game, you can now visit it immediately and make sure to light these fires because it'll open up a secret tomb. Inside, you'll find a chest, and it grants you the upgraded champion's tunic. But if there's one thing everyone was hoping for, it's references to older games, and Tears of the Kingdom is chock full of them. In Hateno Village, you can buy bottles of milk, and if you look closely, you'll realize the design is from Lon Lon Ranch, a location in Ocarina of Time. Sadly, when you visit the ranch in-game, there's only ruins, but luckily stables have survived, and if you go to one of these, you'll find an amazing feature. They actually transfer your old save file from Breath of the Wild, and all the horses you owned are now here, which is way better than wasting time getting new ones. But one of Zelda's greatest rules is that you don't mess with chickens. It's basically tradition at this point, and Tears of the Kingdom does not forget. If you attack the chickens, they'll drop eggs, but if you keep swinging, you'll have to face the horde.
Oh my god, bro.
Now there's a secret trick that'll save your life, and it has to do with the NPCs riding carts. They usually just drive around, but if you sit on the wagon, they'll occasionally be attacked by enemies. If you kill the threat, the NPC will give you fully cooked meals every single time, and in just a couple minutes, you can get dozens of free meals. And while you're messing with the new Ultrahand mechanic, I bet you didn't know that the name is secretly a reference. Way back in the 1960s, Nintendo made toys instead of video games, and one of these was a grabber called Ultrahand. And that's not even the most loved ability because people are going crazy over Ascend, and it's completely changed the way we play Zelda. But what's really crazy is that it was never even meant to exist. It was originally a debug setting the developers used while testing, but they had so much fun with it they decided to keep it as a feature. But Nintendo left behind a super hidden reference that I haven't seen anyone talk about. In Hateno Village, you can go to Link's old house and find a picture of this woman on the wall. She was actually in Breath of the Wild, and if you stepped on her garden, she would go crazy. Fans were so intimidated by her that they nicknamed her Flower Blight Ganon, and now she's immortalized in this house forever. And while we're on the topic of Link's old house, you can also read Zelda's diary, which implies they've been living together for a few years now. She spent that time building a school in the village and secretly working from a well. You can actually find this behind the house, and there's kids' drawings along with Link's blue hair tie from Breath of the Wild. If for some reason you preferred his hairstyle in that game, this lets you revert it, but I'm not the biggest fan. Although I do recommend listening closely the next time you build something. When a fan gets activated, it'll sound like this. Some players thought this was really familiar, so they dug deeper, and this led them to Sonic Adventure? There's also another secret Nintendo doesn't tell you about, and it involves the new Ultrahand ability. Most of us spend forever trying to rotate things, and it can get seriously annoying, but the stress can be solved with just one button. Simply use ZL when holding something, and it'll flatten itself instantly, and I have no idea why they don't tell us stuff like this. And if you have a Link's Awakening amiibo, make sure to scan it, because you have a chance of getting this armor set, transforming Link into the remake version. It's easily one of the best masks in the game, and you can also find this in the depths if you don't have the amiibo. And one of my favorite details is in Zora's domain, which has changed a ton since the last game, but one of the best parts is the main square. Before, I had a statue of Mipha as she was the Zora champion, but now it's entirely covered in sludge. Once you clean it off with a splash fruit, you'll find a new statue, and this time it's of Link and Sidon instead. Speaking of champions, there are now avatars that follow you around later in the game, which is incredibly useful. But if you wear the right Divine Beast mask, they'll actually notice and put one on too. It has to be their region beast, otherwise it won't work, but that's not even the only way to relive the last game. Anyone who goes to the Shrine of Resurrection will find it completely overgrown. This is the very first location in Breath of the Wild, and now it's just a cave, but don't let that fool you. If you decide to relax in these hot springs, they'll actually heal you up for free. And that's just one of many tips you gotta know about, like the Choo Choo Jelly's secret trick. It's a huge hassle to transport your builds, untether, and then activate them, but you can actually do this with a single arrow thanks to Choo Choo Jelly. Use it as a connection point between your builds, so destroying it activates and untethers at the same time. And if you have a ruby in your inventory, there's an overwhelming urge to sell it. But rubies are hard to come by, so trust me, you need to keep a hold of at least one. Fusing it with a shield will increase your body temperature as long as you wear it, and this is so useful in the early game. And if fusing isn't your thing, there's actually a way to undo it, but it comes at a price. You need to head to Terrytown, and here you can pay an NPC to unfuse weapons. Now keep in mind they don't get repaired, so if your favorite item's blinking red, this isn't really gonna fix it. And if you've been playing since day one, you've probably heard Link humming to himself while cooking. He quietly sings classic songs like the main theme, Zelda's Lullaby, and even Lon Lon Ranch, which is super adorable. And if you were to ask Zelda fans what the most annoying part has been, a majority of them will say the rain. Breath of the Wild always started raining at the worst possible times, and I know you guys remember sliding down the mountains. But now in Tears of the Kingdom, this still happens, but you can actually stop it with the Sticky Lizard Potion. And if you were looking for a more permanent solution, make sure to do the newspaper quest, because this will give you a frog outfit that clings to wet surfaces. And while on the side of a mountain, we've all had that question at the back of our mind, should I jump and use a ton of stamina or slowly climb? Well, it turns out you should always climb because Link goes further on the same amount of stamina, it just takes a tad bit longer. Another useful tip is a way to stop Joy-Con drift, an issue that has ruined Zelda playthroughs for years. If you're worried about getting drift, then flicking the stick to untether things is a horrible idea. Luckily, you can ignore the controls on screen and just shake the controller instead, and it'll give you the exact same effect. And if you were wondering what happens when you finally talk to the construction company, it is totally worth it. They have an NPC called Granson who sells rooms, and you can buy these pre-made builds to make your own house. Finally, we can live the way Link deserves, and it gets better because you can display photos on the walls. Yeah, you can even have a photo of yourself taking a photo of yourself if you want. There is so much customization in game, and this extends to your paraglider as well. In Breath of the Wild, you were stuck with the same design, but now you can collect fabrics around the map and take them to the dye shop. Previously, this lets you change outfit colors, but it works on paragliders now, and you could even get exclusive designs through amiibos. Some of my favorites are Mirror of Twilight that comes with Wolf Link, Lon Lon Ranch for Young Link, and the Goddess Fabric for Skyward Sword Zelda. There's also way more that you can earn, and they're on screen right now if you want to double check your amiibo collection. And while you're exploring, you might come across the Serenade to a Great Fairy side quest, which is hiding a secret reference. You have to take Maestro and Violin to the Great Fairy, and after she plays music, he makes this sound. Now, some people think this is a Mario reference, but I don't know if I'm entirely convinced. But the Zelda universe could be expanding even further thanks to the success of the Mario movie. Aonuma, the producer of Tears of the Kingdom, has said he's interested in making a Zelda movie if the fans are loud enough. And I can only imagine how insane that would be, so I'm hoping it happens. And those were 30 secrets in Tears of the Kingdom. It's been Sammy. Keep it here on T5G.